All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on the magic that makes almost every website you use actually work. We're talking about JavaScript. It's the secret sauce that turns a boring, static page into a living, breathing thing you can actually interact with.
I mean, really think about it. You click a button, a menu appears out of nowhere. You're scrolling your social feed, and new posts just pop up without you ever hitting refresh. How does that happen? What is that invisible force making everything move and change? 9 times out of 10, you guessed it, the answer is JavaScript. So, at its heart, JavaScript was created to solve one big problem. See, before JavaScript, a web page was basically a digital poster. You could look at it, you could read it, but that's about it. It was static. JavaScript gives that page a pulse. It lets the web page react to you, to change things on the fly, to feel alive. And that's its whole reason for being.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with what JavaScript even is. Then we'll look at its basic building blocks, see how it makes decisions, and then, this is the cool part, how it actually changes a web page. We'll even build a tiny project together, and then we'll wrap up with a quick look at the huge world of modern JS.
Okay, first things first. We know what it does, but what exactly is JavaScript?
To put it simply, JavaScript is a programming language made specifically for the web. But here's the real kicker. It runs right inside your web browser. You don't need to install anything extra. Your browser, whether it's Chrome, Firefox, Safari, whatever, it already knows how to speak JavaScript. It's the native tongue of the web.
Now, to get how any programming language works, you just need to understand 2 basic things. How does it remember stuff, and how does it do stuff with the things it remembers? For JavaScript, that all starts with variables and operators.
A variable is just a fancy name for a container. Seriously, the labeled box analogy is perfect. Imagine we get a box, slap a label on it that says students, and then we put the number 30 inside. From now on, anytime our program needs to know how many students there are, it just looks for that students box. Simple as that.
But here's the thing, these boxes are built for different kinds of stuff. You've got boxes for numbers, which you use for math. You've got boxes for text, which programmers call strings. And you've got boxes for booleans, which are basically just simple on or off switches, true or false.
So if our variables are the boxes holding all our information, operators are the tools we use to do things with that information. You already know the most common ones, right? The classic math symbols for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. They let us take the values from our boxes and make new ones. And yep, just like back in math class, there's an order to things. JavaScript follows these exact same rules. You might remember it as PEMDAS, to make sure it always solves equations the same way. It'll always do what's in the parentheses first, then the exponents, and so on down the line.
Okay, so we can store data and we can do some math. That's a great start. But the real intelligence, the brain of a program, comes from its ability to make decisions. We call this controlling the flow, which is just a way of telling our code what to do and when to do it.
And the most fundamental tool for that is the if statement. And it's so beautifully simple. It just asks a question. If this one condition is true, like say if a user's age is over 18, then run this piece of code. And you can even tell it what to do if the condition is false. This is literally how websites decide what to show you.
But what if you need to do something over and over again? Well, that's what loops are for. A for loop is perfect for when you know exactly how many times you need to repeat something, like go through these 10 photos. A while loop is for when you don't. It just keeps on going as long as a condition is true, like keep checking for new messages.
So let's recap. We can store data, we can make decisions, and we can repeat things. But how does any of that code actually reach out and, change what we see on the screen? Well, there's a bridge that connects our JavaScript logic to the visual web page, and that bridge is called the DOM.
The best way to think about the DOM is like a live, interactive blueprint of your web page. It's not just a static picture. It's a map that JavaScript can read and, more importantly, can completely rewrite whenever it wants. If you know the map, you can change the entire landscape.
And this map is laid out a bit like a family tree. At the very top, you have the main HTML document, and inside that, you have its children, like the body of the page. And inside the body, you have its children, like paragraphs and images and buttons. JavaScript can walk this entire tree to find the exact element it's looking for. And that whole process has a name, DOM manipulation. This is the absolute heart of web interactivity. Anytime you click a like button and it changes color, that's JavaScript finding that button in the DOM and changing its style. Anytime you see a thank you message appear after submitting a form, yep, that's DOM manipulation too.
All right, that's enough theory. Let's make this stuff real. We're going to see how all these concepts, variables, logic, and the DOM, all work together in a super practical, simple project, a basic number counter.
First, we build the skeleton with HTML. All we need are 3 buttons, one to go down, one to reset, and one to go up. And then we need a place to actually show the number. Right now, it's just a pretty picture. Nothing works yet. It just sits there.
Okay, next step, we hop into our JavaScript file. We make one of those labeled boxes we talked about, a variable. We'll call it count, and we'll put the number 0 inside it to start. This is the memory of our little app. It's what's going to keep track of our number.
And now, the magic that connects everything. It's really just a simple 3-step dance. First, we tell JavaScript to listen for a click on one of our buttons. Second, as soon as it hears that click, it runs a little bit of code that updates our count variable. And third, it reaches into the web page's DOM, finds our number display, and updates it with the new value. Listen, update, display. That simple little loop is the foundation of pretty much every interactive thing you see on the web.
So that little counter uses every single one of the core ideas we've covered. But as you can probably guess, out in the real world, the JavaScript landscape is absolutely massive and incredibly powerful.
You know, modern developers almost never start completely from scratch. They use things called frameworks and libraries, which are like giant toolkits of pre-written code that let them build really complex stuff way faster. They use APIs to talk to other websites and servers to get data, and with something called Node.js, JavaScript is actually broken out of the browser. It's now used to power the behind-the-scenes part of websites too.
So in the end, if HTML is the skeleton of a web page and CSS is the skin that makes it look good, then JavaScript, it's the brain, the muscles, the nervous system. It's what gives the web its voice. It's what lets it respond and interact with us. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?